What is the origin of the universe? That we will discuss in this video. It's a complicated issue. For what is so peculiar about this universe, that there is order and regularity. If there were no order or regularity, we could never explain or predict as we do in science. But because like causes have like effects, we are actually able to explain and predict. Only then does it make sense to search for laws of nature in any of the sciences. So the question is, how do we know that there is order and regularity? Did science tell us that? Science can never prove there is order in this universe. If like causes produced unlike effects, we would assume that those causes must have been different or there must have been hidden causes. And think of this, scientific evidence can be refuted. It can also refute a scientific hypothesis. So falsification is based on the assumption of order. If there were no order, there could not be any falsifying evidence. Apparently science assumes order. It is not an outcome of science, but before it gets started, it needs to assume it. How do we know all of this? As Albert Einstein said, surely one should expect the world to be chaotic, not to be grasped by thought in any way. Instead, we assume that there is order. Isn't that a weird assumption? And what about functionality and design in the universe? They are very basic to the life sciences. A functional design is a design that is successful in survival and reproduction. So natural selection promotes it. A heart or an eye is a successful design given the order in our universe. If the order in our universe would be different, the heart or the eye, the way it is now, would not be a successful design. So what does natural selection do? It selects those biological designs that fit in well with the cosmic order. That's why functionality is such a basic assumption in the life sciences. So how do we know that there is functionality and design? Again, it's not an outcome of biological research, but it's an assumption, a presupposition. Natural selection does not explain functionality, but it merely selects designs that happen to be functional. So natural selection is based on functionality. Functionality is about causes that have successful effects. It's basic to the life sciences, as basic as causality is to all the natural sciences. Again, functionality is not a result of natural selection, but a condition for natural selection. Darwin once said, "I am inclined to look at everything as resulting from designed laws." Even Darwin realized that. And then our universe has intelligibility and rationality. What do I mean by that? All scientists and all human beings assume that in principle the world can be known and taken as intelligible. Otherwise we would never pursue science if we knew that the world cannot be understood. Rationality calls for an intelligible, comprehensible and rational universe. Somehow the universe has an inner logic that is accessible to human reasoning, an intrinsic rationality that governs everything science is trying to decipher. How do we know? It's again not the outcome of scientific research. It is an assumption before science even can get started. It is so basic that most scientists are not even aware of it. If you were told that scientists had discovered that some things are not intelligible, I think you should tell them to keep searching for a better hypothesis or theory. Intelligibility is basic to our understanding of the world. Einstein put it very well: the most incomprehensible thing about the universe is that it's comprehensible. And the late astrophysicist Sir James Jeans said the universe begins to look more like a great thought than a great machine. How much on target that was. So when a scientist claims something or tells you something, we have to realize that he or she assumes that there is order and regularity, functionality and design, intelligibility and rationality. If we would take these pillars away from science, science would become a very shaky enterprise. We really need those pillars, whether you realize it or not. So the question is, if our universe has order, functionality and intelligibility, how is that possible? Where could such a universe come from? We need those assumptions: order, functionality and intelligibility. Those assumptions are so vital that if we don't design bridges according to the right laws, they will collapse. Apparently, those assumptions are not merely creations of the human mind. They are real entities. Otherwise it wouldn't make a difference whether we use the correct law or not. So where does all of this come from? The most common explanation goes as follows: things just pop into existence for no reason at all. Let's call this the pop theory, as philosopher Peter Kreeft did. What is wrong with that explanation? It is hard to believe, the pop theory. It's actually impossible. Atoms or cells can't just pop themselves into existence. They must have a cause, for they don't have the power to make themselves exist. Nothing can cause itself. Plenty of nothing is still nothing. The Big Bang did not create itself from nothing through gravitation, as some people say, for the law of gravitation had to exist already before the Big Bang could do anything. So where did that law come from? Where does everything come from? Another explanation is there is no explanation at all. Things are what they are and they work the way they work. That's it. I call that the black box theory. Please, no more questions. Things are the way they are. A theory that is hard to accept. If we accept that nothing explains itself, we actually go for an irrational approach. The irrational conclusion is that the universe is just absurd. There is no explanation for it. I would rather go for a rational approach. Nothing can explain itself, so it needs an explanation beyond itself. Let's go for that road. Let me ask a few rhetorical questions. How could there be order in this universe if there were no orderly creator? How could there be laws of nature if there were no rational lawgiver? How could there be design in nature if there were no intelligent designer? How could this universe be intelligible if it were not created by an intelligent creator? How could there be rational beings like you and me if there were no rational minds behind the universe? How could there be? I have come to the conclusion that the answer to all these questions is no, there could not be any of these. Without. Once we lose the notion of creation, plus the trustworthy order and rationality that come with it, all our scientific endeavors would be resting on quicksand. Without a creator, we would have no rational explanation, as to why the universe is the way it is. The physicist Paul Davies once said, there must be an unchanging rational ground in which the logical, orderly nature of the universe is rooted. I think I have said enough. The Big Bang may be the beginning of the universe, but creation is a different story. It's the origin of the universe. Without that origin, the Big Bang could not even begin. I discussed these and similar issues much more extensively in two of my books that you find here. One was published by Pauline Books, the other one by Queenship Publishing. You can find them on Amazon.com or on the website wheredowecomefrom.com/otherbooks.htm. It gives you more details about those books, and that will tell you whether that is what you really want to know. Thank you.